A 68-year-old man lost over $300,000 in the Philippines. It's hard to imagine, but it happened, and I'm here to share the details of the story in this video. Last week, I saw a post on an online forum, a story that would shatter your heart. It's painful, emotional, but there are lots of lessons to learn from it. The reason why I bring up these topics is to educate Western men seeking to come to Southeast Asia, Philippines, Thailand, or Cambodia on how best to live smart here. Trust me, if you follow most of my advice, you won't fall victim to any misfortune here. I'm going to share the story exactly how it was written according to Rio. In the end, you'll hear my honest opinion about the matter. So let's go straight into the story. When I opened the apartment door that morning, I knew before I even stepped inside. The silence was different. Not the comfortable quiet of someone still sleeping. The hollow silence of emptiness. I walked through anyway. Her pink slippers, the ones she always left by the bathroom door, gone. The Hello Kitty magnet on the fridge with our photo tucked inside, gone. Her clothes, her lotions, that stuffed bear she slept with, all of it, gone. The only thing she left behind was a single hair tie on the kitchen counter, and the faint smell of her shampoo still hangs in the air. I stood there staring at that hair tie for I don't know how long. Then I pulled out my phone and checked my bank account. I'd arrived in the Philippines with $450,000 to my name. That morning, the screen read, $110,000, $340,000, gone. And here's the part that still keeps me up at night. It didn't happen in one big scam. It happened slowly, quietly, while I genuinely believed I was building a life with someone who loved me. My name's Rio. I'm 68 years old. And this is the story of how loneliness, hope, and trust cost me nearly everything I had. Let me take you back so you understand how I got here. I'm a retired construction supervisor from Nevada. Spent 40 years building things. Houses, warehouses, commercial buildings. Hard work, good money, honest life. But in 2019, everything changed. I was driving through an intersection when a kid ran a red light and T-boned my truck. The impact shattered my pelvis, compressed my spine, and caused permanent nerve damage in my left leg. I spent 3 months in the hospital, another 6 in physical therapy, learning how to walk again. Every step felt like broken glass. My wife stayed at first. She tried, I'll give her that. But after about a year of watching me struggle to get out of bed, struggle to shower, struggle to do the basic things I used to do without thinking, she told me she couldn't do it anymore. She left. And honestly, I don't blame her. Nobody signs up to be a full-time caregiver for a man who used to be strong and capable, but now can barely make it up the stairs. The divorce was quiet, civil, sad. She moved to Arizona to be near her sister, and I stayed in that house, the one we'd lived in for 22 years, alone. Every room reminded me of who I used to be. The garage where I used to work on the truck, the backyard where I'd grill on Sundays. Even the damn couch felt wrong, because I couldn't sit on it the same way anymore. By 2022, I could walk again. Slowly. With a cane sometimes. But I was functional. The problem was the bills. Medical debt was piling up. My pension wasn't stretching like it used to. Insurance covered some things, but not everything. And I was living in a 3-bedroom house in Nevada that I didn't need, filled with memories I didn't want. So I made a decision. I sold the house, sold the truck, sold most of my stuff, and I moved to the Philippines. Now, before you jump to conclusions, I wasn't one of those guys. I wasn't chasing young girls. I wasn't looking for some fantasy retirement with a 20-year-old on my arm. I just wanted to live somewhere affordable, where my money would last, where the weather didn't hurt my joints, and where I didn't have to wake up every day in a place that reminded me of everything I'd lost. The Philippines checked all those boxes, so I packed what was left of my life into 2 suitcases and boarded a plane to Manila. When I first landed in Manila, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: hope. The city was loud, chaotic, overwhelming, but in a good way. People smiled at me, said hello, asked where I was from. The food was cheap and good. The rent for a decent apartment was a fraction of what I'd been paying in Nevada. And the weather? Warm. No more cold mornings that made my legs seize up. For the first time since the accident, I felt like maybe life wasn't over. Maybe I could rebuild something here. I found a small 2-bedroom apartment in Quezon City. Nothing fancy, but clean, safe, quiet. But here's the thing nobody tells you about living alone with a disability. The little stuff becomes huge. Groceries meant limping to the market, carrying bags back up 3 flights of stairs, and collapsing on the couch afterward. Cleaning meant being on my feet too long, which meant pain for the rest of the day. Even cooking, something I used to enjoy, became exhausting. I needed help. So I did what everyone does in Manila. I went on Facebook and posted in an expat group, looking for a part-time maid, light cleaning, cooking, errands, fair pay. I got about 30 messages. Most were copy-paste responses. A few asked for way too much money up front, but one stood out. Her name was Clarita. She sent a polite message with a photo. She was 24, a college dropout, and had worked for a Korean family before. Included references. Didn't ask for money. She showed up the next day for an interview. She was small, maybe 5'2", with long dark hair always tied back. Wore simple clothes, no makeup. Spoke softly but clearly in English. She called me sir. Didn't flirt. Didn't try to be overly friendly. Just asked what I needed and said she could do it. I hired her on the spot. She started coming 3 times a week. And honestly, it changed everything. She cleaned. She cooked. She'd run to the market and bring back groceries without me having to ask. But more than that, she was just present. She'd ask how my leg was doing. She'd remind me to take my medication. She'd sit with me on the balcony sometimes after work, and we'd just talk about small things. The weather, her family, my life back in the States. It felt normal. It felt like I wasn't just surviving anymore. And then one evening, after she'd finished cleaning, she sat down across from me and asked a question that hit me harder than I expected. Sir Rio, do you ever feel lonely here? I didn't answer right away, because the truth was, yes, every single day. But nobody had asked me that in years. That question changed everything. A week after that conversation, I made her an offer. What if you worked full-time? Live in. I'll pay you more, you'll have your own room, and you won't have to commute. She thought about it for a day. Then she said yes. She moved in with 1 duffel bag and a stuffed bear. At first it was professional. She had her room, I had mine. She cooked, cleaned, and we kept boundaries. But slowly, things shifted. We started watching TV together at night. She'd sit on the couch next to me instead of across the room. We'd talk for hours about her dreams, my past, what life was like before the accident. She laughed at my dumb jokes. I listened when she talked about her family in the province. And then one night, we were watching some Filipino drama on TV, and our hands were resting on the couch between us. Her pinky touched mine. Neither of us moved. And after a minute, I reached over and held her hand. She didn't pull away. We sat like that for the rest of the episode. That was the beginning. She stopped calling me sir. She started calling me Rio. Sometimes Han, which she said was a term of endearment. She'd kiss me on the cheek when she left the room. She'd hold my hand when we walked outside. She even posted photos of us together on Facebook. Her smiling, me with my arm around her, and I know what it looked like. 68-year-old white guy, 24-year-old Filipina. I know people judged, but I didn't feel like some creepy old man. I felt human again. I felt wanted. For the first time since my wife left, someone looked at me like I mattered. Someone touched me without pity. Someone asked about my day and actually cared about the answer. I fell in love, or at least I thought I did. It started small. About 2 months after she moved in, she came to me crying. Her mom's roof was leaking. Heavy rains. They couldn't afford to fix it. Could I help? Of course I could. I sent $800. She hugged me, thanked me, showed me photos of the repair. A month later, her younger sister needed money for school tuition, $500. Then her cousin's motorcycle broke down. He needed it for work, $300. Every time she'd come to me with tears in her eyes, apologizing for asking. And every time I'd say, "Don't worry, we're family," because that's what I believed. We were building something. And then she told me her dream. "Rio, I don't want to rent forever. I want us to have our own place, somewhere quiet, outside the city, just you and me." Not her house. Our house. She showed me pictures of the land in Batangas, 2 hours south of Manila. Quiet, green, affordable. The math made sense. We were paying rent every month anyway. Why not build equity? Why not invest in our future? There was just one problem. Foreigners can't own land in the Philippines. She explained that to me gently, apologetically. "The land has to be in my name, but it's our house, Rio. I promise." I trusted her. So I wired the money, $35,000 for the land. Then construction started. $60,000 for the foundation, framing, and walls. $40,000 for the roof, plumbing, and electrical. $25,000 for finishing, tiles, paint, fixtures. Then she needed a car to get back and forth to the site. $18,000. Then furniture for when the house was done. $12,000. And every time, there was another problem. The contractor needed more materials. The permits cost more than expected. Her brother got sick and needed medicine. $2,000 here, $5,000 there. I kept wiring money because I believed we were building our future. I barely even visited the house. She'd go down to Batangas every week to check on progress and send me photos. It looked beautiful. 2 stories, big windows, a balcony, our dream. By the time it was finished, I'd sent a total of $180,000 into that house, and I didn't think twice about it, because love makes you trust, and trust makes you stop asking questions. The change didn't happen overnight. It was subtle. She started staying out later, just running errands, meeting a friend, checking on the house. She stopped sitting with me at night, stopped holding my hand, stopped kissing me goodbye. She moved back into the other bedroom, said she needed space, wasn't sleeping well. Her phone was always face down on the table, and when I'd try to talk to her, she'd say she was tired. "Maybe tomorrow, Rio." But tomorrow never came. I told myself it was stress, the house, her family, normal relationship stuff. But deep down, I knew. I just didn't want to admit it. Then one day, I decided to drive down to the house in Batangas. I didn't tell her I was coming. I just went. When I pulled up to the property, my stomach dropped. There was a motorcycle parked outside, men's clothes hanging on the line, work boots by the door. I walked up to the front door and knocked. A man answered, young, maybe 30. He looked confused. "Can I help you?" I asked who he was. He said, "I live here. Who are you?" I stood there, speechless. He called inside and Clarita came to the door. When she saw me, her face went pale. But she didn't panic. She didn't cry. She just sighed, like I was an inconvenience. We didn't even argue. She walked outside, crossed her arms and said, "Why are you here?" I asked her who that man was. She didn't lie. "My boyfriend." I asked how long. "Since before you." I felt my knees go weak. I asked about the house, about us, about everything, and she said something I'll never forget. "I needed the money, Rio. You were temporary." Just like that. No anger, no guilt, just a fact. She said she never loved me. She said she cared about me, sure. But love? No. She said she saw an opportunity and she took it. And honestly, she said a lot of foreign men do the same thing, so why shouldn't she? I didn't yell, I didn't beg. I just stood there, feeling every one of my 68 years. I asked if I could at least get some of the money back. She laughed. "The land is in my name. The house is in my name. You gave it to me. That's not illegal." She was right. Legally, I had nothing. I drove back to Manila in silence. When I got back to the apartment, I sat down and did the math. Land, $35,000. Construction, $125,000. Car, $18,000. Furniture, $12,000. Family emergencies, $40,000. Miss expenses, $109,800. Total, $339,800. Gone. And the house? I don't own a single brick. I'm not telling you this story for pity. I'm telling you this because I know I'm not the only one. There are thousands of men like me, older, alone, hurting, hopeful, moving to places like the Philippines, Thailand, Colombia, chasing a second chance at life. And I'm not saying everyone's getting scammed. Some guys find real love, real partnership. But here's what I learned the hard way. Loneliness makes you see love where there's only opportunity. Clarita didn't need to lie to me. I did the believing for both of us. She never said I love you. I just filled in the blanks. She never promised forever. I just assumed. And when someone is taking care of you, cooking, cleaning, touching you, paying attention to you, after years of being invisible, that feels like love. But gratitude is not love. Dependence is not devotion. And if your name isn't on the property, it's not your future. It's a donation. Unfortunately, this same scenario keeps happening all the time. It's like a repeated pattern, and most expats still fall victim. So here's my advice. If you're paying someone's bills, rent, school fees, and daily life, you're not in a relationship. You're running a sponsorship program. A real partnership has support on both sides, not one person carrying the entire weight while the other just receives. If they avoid introducing you to family or close friends, that's not shyness. That's a signal. When someone sees a future with you, they don't hide you. They integrate you into their world. If every month comes with a fresh crisis, hospital, cousin, school, broken phone, sudden debt, that's not bad luck chasing them. That's a cycle, and you're the solution that keeps getting billed. And if you're paying for houses, land, or businesses you can't legally own or control, you're not investing. You're donating. Most of all, if affection only appears when money or favors are needed, that isn't love or intimacy. That's a transaction. Starting over, moving abroad, finding someone new. That can be a beautiful chapter. Just don't lead with your wallet and call it romance. Hope is powerful, but without boundaries and clear thinking, it becomes costly. Share your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, you should love the next one. The maid who saved an expat from his Filipina girlfriend's boyfriend. Click to watch now.